Okay.
but it'll do a count.
Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Comeback podcast. We are live. We're doing this live, which is really outrageous and crazy of us.
We're trying some different things here, and so yeah, we're going live with it this time.
We're going live with Chrissy Forsyth, who is my business partner for a company we created called Clarity. So we just left the 48-hour vibe upgrade retreat, which was phenomenal, by the way.
It was amazing. And actually, well, I guess it was like a few weeks ago now, but we've been so busy with other stuff. We haven't even had a chance to connect, or I think this is the first time I've like seen you like face to face.
Feels like yesterday, huh?
Does it?
We haven't connected. It has been busy. I've been traveling like nonstop, and it's not done yet. I'm going to be traveling most of November too, but I'm curious, like when you do a big event, how you come down from it. Because for me, like my instinct is to like travel to relax and have fun because I just worked so hard. But then I find myself coming home and being like, oh my God, I'm so far off my routine. And I don't know. I thought today was Monday. And Brandon's personal trainer comes on Mondays. And so I was like, is Brian coming this morning? And he was like, it's Tuesday. And I spent all Saturday thinking, because I was in DC, thinking, how strange is it that the Washington Redskins are playing on a Saturday? Like they usually play on a Sunday. I have no idea what day it is what it comes down to.
That's it though. I think like both of us have done the same thing. We both came back and we had all of this stuff booked afterwards. I've been telling so many people, like, I have absolutely overbooked myself. It has been like weekend after weekend of just like thing after thing. Like I was in Pittsburgh this weekend. So it's just been, I don't know what day it is either. And I feel like my head is spinning.
Yeah. But okay, so what do you do when your head is spinning? Like what do you do when you've been busy and you're really out of your own practices? How do you get back on track?
So for me, it's all about taking that time and that space in my own energy. So I have plans for that this weekend, to just take that time and to be able to, well, do whatever I need to do. Right. And I've already started to do that a little bit. Like I went for a sunset hike last night and it was
It looks
so
amazing.
amazing by myself in my own energy. So I can hear my soul, because the way that I'm built is when my head starts spinning and I've been so busy and a little bit maybe too social, more social than I typically would be, if I'm honest, then I need that time alone, because it makes it really hard for me to hear what I want, where I want to go, even how I am. It's really hard for me to tease that out. So I need that time in that space just to hear that. So I did that last night. I have that planned for this weekend to work some of that in. And I think that that's going to help me a lot to like finally feel like myself again, because I don't even fully feel like myself right now.
I feel that way too. I don't think I'm quite as antisocial as you, but but I feel like I don't even recall the last time I was like in the house alone where I wasn't working. So for me, it's like really challenging to like come back from being with people and feeling like, oh, well, my family's here. I have to be with them because I've been gone. So I think that, finding time this week, and hopefully you as listeners are finding time this week to be able to designate it to yourself. I actually just got off a client call and I was talking with this guy, nicest guy you'll ever meet. And he was putting so much pressure on himself to be all these things and do all these things. And a tree fell on a neighbor's house and he was like, yeah, it's my, he would do that for me and I got to go fix that. And I'm like, you're tapped out to the point you're ill. Like you can't, you have to take time to tune back into see of, okay, is this something I want something
I don't know if things are,
commit
if
to,
you're still
and
talking.
knowing that you can't commit to those things are okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I missed all of that because it was like freezing up on my end. So,
I think you
I don't know
froze.
if like,
Are you there?
yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, am I frozen?
You were. It like froze up and so I don't know what you
Really?
said. Oh, where did you
Well,
go?
it wasn't that good of a story. Yeah, can you hear me? We good?
I heard the beginning. I heard the beginning. And basically like take away like
It
you
wasn't
can't be all things,
it
right?
wasn't a
Is
good
that
story. So I take it back. I you know what?
the universe was like, no, I'm sorry, you can't tell
What?
that story. I think everybody
Exactly.
else heard
That's what
it.
I meant to say. You can't be all things. Yeah, no, it's just you can't be all things, and you have to really assess whether you have the capacity for certain things. And I don't think we stop to do that enough. I think we get into these modes where we're just taking care of people and taking care of our family and taking care of things. And yeah, I think that it's important to take a step back, sit with yourself, and just say, okay, do I actually have room for that right now, or is this overshooting?
Yeah, and that's it. Like, so I'm not actually antisocial, but I really need that
Mm.
time and that space to balance things out, right? And so, in order for me to be at my best, I know that that's how that works. And so, I asking, was past me considering future me when she was making all these plans for her life through the rest of the year? I don't think so. And so now current me is taking a beat and just saying, okay, do I want to commit to that? Is that something I want to invest my time in? Is that something that's important to me? Because I'm getting really, really clear. I feel like this is something I've been working on for quite some time. Really, really crystal clear on what do I want to invest my time in and what do I not want to invest my time in? Because my time, just like everybody else's, is valuable. And so I'm getting really clear on that. And so current Christy is going to make future Christy really happy because she's starting to put more things into balance again.
I had a meeting with Dr. Sean Pastuch today. I met him at the Coach Catalyst Summit, and he is just an incredibly brilliant, very intense guy. And I like talking with him because he's so different than me. I'm like so feminine, flowy, and he's just like, let's get shit done. And I love it. Like, I'm just so interested. But one of the things he said is he's like, what's your success criteria? And I was like, I'm really figuring that out. I'm trying to sort through things for myself to see, obviously my success criteria at home looks different than my success criteria at work. And so he's like, okay, so if you were to cast a vision of you at like your company being super successful and your home life being super successful, what things can you track back that you're doing throughout your day? And like, how do you know you're being successful? And I've been thinking so much about that for like the last couple of hours since I talked to him, because I'm just like, well, shit, what is that for me? What does that look like to have all of these things? I feel like for me, the way my personality works is I'm all in one area or I'm all in the other. And when I'm all in one area and I'm all in the other, I get neglectful of the areas that I'm not, like my focus isn't in. So I have to be mindful of splitting up my focus, but really thinking about like the most successful version of me. What does she do in a day? How does she fill her time? How does she organize her time? And so he was talking about how like 5:42 he's done because he walks home. So he'll go home by 6 o'clock on the dot. And that's like his sign of success, is one of his measurements, is like that's his sign of success. And so I was just thinking like, okay, so how does a successful day feel to me? And I have to be mindful of those commitments that I make throughout the week, because if I'm committing to too many things, then I can't create a successful day myself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that we have to be really, really mindful of that. And at the end of the day, is this going to align with the life that I'm creating or that I want to create? And is this aligning with what's most important to me? And so I think that we've been collectively and energetically going through this process of reprioritizing. And I think energetically, we're collectively in a little bit of that in between where we're exploring these kind of questions like, what does that look like? And what does the most successful version of me look like? And how do I show up even now as her? But I also think like it can look a little bit like we're trying on identities, like we're exploring with our identity, like who am I, and how do I want to show up in the world and what's most important to me? And I think that's very much what this collective energy is doing right now. All of us as a collective are doing right now.
Yeah, actually, I was saying that to a client earlier. I'm like, I want you to think of this as you're 7 and you're trying on the firefighter costume and you're trying on the police officer costume. And I like want you to take the job search that you're doing a lot less seriously and just create a list for yourself of things that feel exciting or good or light you up to think about. And then start looking at your job search not as like, God, I hope they pick me, but like, God, I hope, this is what I want. I hope they fall into line because if not, I can say no. And so sometimes I think we take life way too fucking seriously. And then when we do, we make these rigid rules that if I change from this to that, then I'm going to hate it. Like there are only outcomes and projections of outcomes or that it's going to be worse than the safe thing that we have already. And I think sometimes if we can get into a mindset of, well, what if we could just try it on? What if we just apply for a job that we're not even probably really qualified and maybe we don't want, but ultimately, like, what if we just start playing and letting things be more fluid and fun and flowy and possibilities. Like I think I've been thinking a ton about it's not this or that, it's this, that, or 20 other things. Like that's the reality of the universe and the abundance of the universe is that the possibilities are actually endless. And we get to try on different versions of these possibilities and play with them. But when we get locked into the idea that there's only one or two is where we start to get in fear mode.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's an and I've been sharing a little bit about my journey that for a while now, since July, and it lines up, by the way, totally with my astrology, but that I've been exploring all of these ideas. And I got to a place where I got really in my head about it and was doing very much that, where it was like, okay, like, so I was, it had to be one specific way. And I was really boxing myself in. And I think now, us as a collective, but me too, along with the energy, we're starting to open up to the possibilities of like, can we just let this be a little bit more of an adventure? Like, it doesn't have to be you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong or anything like that. It's like just an exploration right now. We're kind of in this in between, and it's this exploration of where are we going to go next, and maybe it's this and this, and maybe it's just kind of allowing ourselves to honor all of these parts of ourselves that are wanting to be expressed and figuring out where that goes, how we can express that, how we can show up in the world as those different aspects of ourselves. And this is going to help us to feel our most authentic, right? I think we've been working for years on authenticity and how we can show up as our most authentic selves. And at the end of the day, that's going to lead us to our most success is when we're showing up in our authenticity, whatever that looks like. For me, that looks a little bit different every day. And I think that that's okay. I think that that's just who I am. And we're all multifaceted. We have all these different parts of ourselves. Like a lot of the work that I do with people is in asking them about this part of themselves and this part of themselves, right? So like the part of themselves that wants to make the change versus the part of themselves that is afraid to make the change that they want to make in their life. And we have these parts of those themselves interact with one another because that can be really powerful in healing and enlightening to help us to understand ourselves. But all of those parts are within ourselves and all of those parts are working together. So if we can like integrate and bring together all of those parts of ourselves and allow those parts to be working together to live our most successful or most joyful life, I think that that's where it's at. And I think that that is how we do that in the most authentic way.
Well, and I think the mistake that we make is that we look at all those pieces of ourselves and we look and try to decide which one's really us, like all of them can't be parts of us and versions of us. And I know for me, like different people bring out different parts of me. And I was like, okay, like, is that inauthenticity? Is that like, what is that? Why am I like this wild child over here and like this like super serious spiritual person over here? Like what is that? But the reality is like all those versions of me live inside me. Like they're all in there and like different people and different energies bring them out in me. And so I think it's just giving permission to show up however the hell you show up that day and seeing what the day holds for you. And I don't know, I really am under this big notion of playing, and I'm under this big notion of, I think that we have been, and I've been saying this a ton in the Comeback Club when I do my weekly pep talks, is I think we have been in this position where we're weeding. And I think all year we've been just pulling weeds out from the seeds we planted. So I think for a lot of people, they've been looking around like, where the fuck are my manifestations? Like, does it even work anymore? Like, where are they? But the reality is that they have been planted. You're just getting rid of the shit that's blocking them, the shit that you don't need anymore. Like, you're weeding the stuff around them so that they can actually grow, because we know that things can't grow in bad soil. We know that things can't grow when there's too much over top of it. And I think that's giving us permission to also ask ourselves, what seeds do I still want to grow after I've gotten rid of all of that stuff? Like, which ones still work for me? And so I agree completely, Christy. I think we're all kind of in not an identity crisis, but in an identity exploration. And one of the ways that I personally have been like focusing on that is by really looking at what things bring me fulfillment. And that kind of comes back to my core values. And one of my core values is adventure. And so it is trying new restaurants and going to new places. We walked around Georgetown for like 6.5 hours. Like, I got in so all my steps probably for the entire next week or so. And we ate and we drank and we just saw art and we just did all of it. And it made my heart so happy. And then we would just go like sit and watch the bay and the ducks. And like, there's just something special about really assessing what are the things that bring me fulfillment and how am I incorporating them into my life intentionally or not intentionally. So as much as I'm like, yeah, I kind of overloaded my schedule, I can also look at that and be like, yeah, but my heart feels a lot better, you know?
Definitely. Yeah. Because you're honoring that part of yourself and you needed that. And we all, as much as I feel overloaded, I also got to spend time with one of my amazing friends and had the best time and got to check out all of this stuff. And again, like, honored that part of me that needs adventure, right? So it's just like, but then there's also this part of me that needs a little bit of time to just recenter a little bit and refocus, because I do not feel very focused right now.
Wait, what? And guys, if you're watching this live, we are doing Q&A today. So if you have questions for us, drop them in the comments. I see a couple of people have stopped by to say hi. And Erin wrote, I'm amazed at the books I've read lately on success and joy, even books written 50 to 60, 70 years ago in resiliency podcast. And literally everywhere I look, everything is about mindset and manifestation. Yeah. Oh, cool. I didn't know you could bring it up across the screen. We're so tech savvy. Look at this. Wow.
We're trying out some new tech stuff today.
We're on our way. Yeah, no, I think it is all mindset and manifestation. It is all energy. I actually made a little post on TikTok earlier, and I was like, I used to feel kind of embarrassed for how deeply I believed in intuition and mindset and manifestation. And now I just feel really bad for people who don't, because that has single-handedly changed my entire life, how I feel day to day, how do I feel about myself. And yeah, I wouldn't change that for the world.
I think that it's like so magical. It makes me sad for people when they're missing out on that. Like, oh, we have an opportunity to create our lives, to create the circumstances in our lives, to create opportunities in our lives, to be a co-creator for everything that we experience. And it makes me sad that not everybody embraces that or understands that or believes in that, because like you and I all the time, we're focusing on owning our power as a co-creator here in this world so that we can do all the cool stuff that we want to do here on earth.
Yeah, and it's so simple. That's the thing that people like. I think people online have overcomplicated manifestation so much. If you break it down, if we just make it super simple for you, the idea of manifestation really just comes down to being intentional. And I think getting clear on what you want and then being intentional about what you're thinking about it. And if we just break it down to even just the clarity, I mean, that's what we started this business for, is to give people clarity. Even if you just start to get really honest with yourself about what you want, I'm a firm believer that just that honesty helps shift things around. And that may not be the fastest path, but I'm telling you that you can just start by looking at what you want and then deciding that it gets to happen for you, and you don't get to determine how it happens for you. It just gets to happen for you. And we could go deeper into it, but at the base, like, you're either surviving or creating. So if you catch yourself being reactive, if you catch yourself in a life you hate, if you catch yourself going on autopilot, this is just your sign to turn it around. This is just your sign to say, shit, what do I actually want? That one of the clients I had earlier today, that was the whole conversation of like, okay, that's what your dad wants for you, and this is what your wife wants for you, and this is like what your friends want for you, but what the fuck do you want? Like, at the end of the day, like, you're going to burn yourself out trying to be everything to everyone. And unless you ask yourself that and are willing to take some action and some intention behind it, you're just getting tossed around. You are a palm tree in Hurricane Milton. You're just getting tossed around by the wind.
Yeah. I think too, like you're saying, people overcomplicate manifestation too, right? What do you have to lose by just putting an intention out there? I had somebody reach out to me. I put up, I think it was last week, I was asking because I'm working on this really cool package of hypnosis recordings that's going to incorporate manifestation techniques and, of course, hypnosis and neuro linguistic programming and all of these things to make it extra magical for people. And so I was asking the question of like, how would you upgrade your life? Right. And I have a sign up for that for people to be able to sign up to get first access for when that gets released. So I had somebody reach out to me and they had filled out the sign up form for how they would upgrade their life. And simply by putting that intention out there, that was all they did. They had some things shift in their life to help that situation to move forward. Just by putting that out there, just by responding to this internet form that I had put on there. And it was like one sentence. It wasn't like this long paragraph saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. But by putting the intention out there, we start to step into our power as a co-creator. And so I just want to invite everybody to consider that. Let me just like put it out there. Let's just see what happens. And can it just be like fun and playful like that? Let me put the intention out there and see what happens, because that's so magical. And when you start to see things happening for you and start to see that things really are developing according to the intentions that you're putting out there, you start to realize how supported you are in this world. And I think that that's one of the most powerful places that we can be, because we start to understand, there really is a universe, a God, whatever. I really am supported. And that just feels so much better. It helps us to do life so much better when we feel like we're being supported and that we have a team that's there to support and help us and to help these things to become true.
Absolutely. And like, it is wonderful to recognize your power. And the most important thing is that when you're recognizing your power, like, you can do it in multiple different ways. You can recognize your power in the ability to trust yourself. You can recognize your power in placing your order with the universe. You can recognize your power in like neuroscience. Neuroscience tells us that what we look for, we will find. That our brain is searching and filtering our world for proof that what we want is real, which I always say is why there can be Democrats and Republicans, right? We're both so convicted because we are looking for proof and evidence that what we believe is true. So what happens when that goes from a political party to being about your self-worth, right? Are you looking for proof that you're worthy? Are you looking for proof that things get to work out for you? One of my big statements in my entire life, across my entire person, is that everything is always working out for me. And that does a couple things, right? It helps my brain look for that. It helps my energy look for that. It helps God support me in that. And I also know that when something is not going how I want it to go, that it doesn't mean it's not working out for me, that maybe that piece needed to shift or get moved so that it can work out for me, or maybe it can work out better or different than even I knew or thought. And so I think that we can really look at manifestation from multiple different perspectives depending on where you're at in your process, because I think not everyone can lean back and trust the universe. And I think not everybody cares about their mindset. But for me, when I started learning that my mindset mattered on a grand scale, that my mindset mattered because it was what I was going to experience in my life, like that my mindset mattered because there was some extra magic that was creating itself around me. Like for me, that's where things changed.
Absolutely. And, so Nichole and I both have backgrounds in mental health counseling, right? So we've always learned as part of what was cognitive behavioral therapy, we've learned about mindset and having a positive mindset and changing, finding better feeling thoughts and these types of ideas. So we already were doing that with people. But as we started to connect on a more spiritual level and energetic level and explore all these ideas, then we started to understand, oh, yeah, it's not just that it helps you on a psychological level to feel better and to have better experiences, but also it helps you to create better experiences for you in your life. And so I even think too, like, even if we can just as simple as try to hold a sense of like excitement and optimism and just this idea that good things are coming your way. So even if you're not clear on what it is that you want to put out there, but just this idea that good things are coming our way, that can be a really powerful intention too.
I was trying to make sure all of the comments were popped up, and then it made you very loud on my phone. So
Carlos says powerhouse goddess.
we will
Yeah.
highlight that one all day. I
Hi,
just think
Carlos. Nice to see you on here. It's been a little while.
I just really want to make feeling more powerful in your life, feeling more magic in your life. Like for me, I want to make that as simple as possible. I want to make growing as simple as possible. I want to make feeling better as simple as possible. And like that's why Chrissy and I do the work we do. And also, she sent me some of the hypnosis recordings she's doing for this package, and you guys are not going to want to like miss that. So make sure you get signed up for her packages because they're phenomenal. And or the hypnosis package, because that will change your life. Like that's the thing, is you can make it easy. You can listen to a recording and that will help. You can put your intention in a form on a box, or you can put it into the comments section and that will change things. Like it can be that simple, that just that intention. Like I always think of when it's your birthday and you make a wish. That's just an intention. Why do we start that practice? It's just an intention. Birthday wishes are an intention. So if we break things down to make them more simple and more fun, I think that's where the real change can happen.
And I think like that is this energy right now, is to just kind of allow it to unfold, to have fun where we can have fun, to embrace the in between, to let it teach us about ourselves, to let it show us things that we want to create. Because I'm finding there are things that I want to create or things that I'm interested in exploring that I never, ever would have expected that I'm interested in exploring. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, maybe I will try that on for size and we'll see how that will go. But I'm very much just like going with the flow of all of it. And I think that there's an invitation in this energy for us to be doing all of that, but to let it be playful and fun and to not get too caught up in, okay, like what's the next step? I think we've closed some doors to the past around all of these eclipses. And we're kind of in this place where we're start leaning into new beginnings, but that new beginning isn't exactly clear yet. And I think that that's intentional because I think we're deciding which path do we want to go down. And for that path to become more solidified, we've got to let ourselves be shown, and we've got to let ourselves learn about ourselves and learn about what we actually want and where we want to go. And so this time is so important in setting the tone for where that chapter is going to go.
And allowing yourself to be curious and allowing yourself to be playful. And I know for me, like I said, I had a conversation earlier where I was a little stumped and I was like, I'm exploring that right now because there's been a lot changing for me. I'm still doing this work, but I also started another business and I sold a business. And I just feel like everything for the last couple of months has been like opportunities, but like where do I want my time? Where is my time most valued? Where is it most valuable? And so I'm still getting clear on those things for me. And I think that is the energy right now. We had a rough year. I don't know one person that had like the best year of their life. And maybe in the comments section, you can tell me if I'm wrong about that. But everybody I've talked to, even some of my more established clients that have been in a good space for a while, had a really big shakeup this year. And so I think that there was a lot of foundations that crumbled and a lot that can be put back in, right? That we can rebuild these foundations as we explore and as we kind of lock in the things that make the most sense for us. But we appreciate you guys jumping on. Chrissy and I will be doing this regularly so that you can ask questions live on this podcast and listen to it back on the Rock Your Comeback podcast, as well as the replay on Chrissy's page. And I think it's on both of our YouTube. So you'll be able to catch it more frequently. We'll be together more frequently. And keep an eye out for the next 48-hour Vibe Upgrade Retreat. We will be creating a wait list for that. I know there's a lot of people who are interested right now. So we will be putting that out shortly so that you have the opportunity to come experience the magic that is the change of the upgrade.
Yeah, and we would love to have you guys be an interactive part of this process. So thank you so much for those of you who are here live and saying hello and asking your questions or comments, that kind of stuff. That's really part of the intention in moving forward that we want to have happen, is for for it to be interactive. We would love for you guys to be a part of this. We would love to address your questions, to talk about the things that you want to talk about. So even if you don't want to ask that live, feel free to send us a message and say, hey, I would love it if you and Nichole would talk about whatever, because we want to cover the kind of things that you guys want us to cover.
Absolutely. And someone just wrote, you ladies make having your intentions come true simple. Write a book, Intentions for Dummies. So I have 2 books, Rock Your Comeback and Rock Your Soul, that really break intentions down and the mindset down. But we can continue to talk about breaking those down next time. And we'll let you know when that is. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you later.
Bye.